So if you remember at the end of the podcast last time, I gave you a Quran.
Yeah.
Now this is very interesting because at the time you wasn't Muslim then.
Yeah, that's right.
And now, alhamdulillah, you are.
Yeah.
So first off, I want to say, welcome to Islam.
Thank you.
And secondly, what I want to say is, I know you've said a few times that you don't want to discuss Islam too much on podcasts.
Yeah.
And I completely understand that because at the end of the day, it's nothing to be ashamed of because we're all sinners and nothing can get anyone anything perfectly said. And even me being a born Muslim, and I'd like to say I have a vast amount of knowledge on Islam, regardless of what I say, there's still going to be people out there who comment back on what I say because people have different schools of thought, etc. So what I will say is just like the quiz shows where you got phone a friend, also the team are Muslim right now, so you've got phone a sheikh. So if you've got any answers, any questions that you want answered on this podcast today from a fellow Muslim right here,
thank you.
Or if I can't get the answer, we'll get the answer for you.
Yeah, I'm studying it and I have a huge amount of respect for Islam, and it's one of the only subjects that I am passionate about that I don't know everything about. Everything else I'm interested in, I can sit and talk about for hours.
Yeah.
Or if I talk about Islam, I feel like there's people far more qualified than me, and I feel like it's disrespectful because I'm new to it. I'm a revert, and I'm trying to learn like everybody else. And yes, I'm famous, and yes, I'm well known, but my opinion isn't valid compared to someone who's a born Muslim or studied it harder than I have. So,
everyone's opinions are valid.
of course, but I don't consider myself qualified.
Yeah, fair enough. But how would you say it's shaped your life and your mentality?
You know the best thing about Islam? The best thing about Islam is how simple it is because there's wrong and right.
It's a simple religion.
It's wrong and right. I mean, you look at other religions and it's also subjective now.
Yeah.
And that's why I've said many times on different podcasts that it's the last true religion. If you don't have a strong barrier, if you don't have a yes and a no, you don't have a religion. If you tolerate everything, you stand for nothing. And if you believe in God and you say, I believe in God, but I'm not a Muslim, I'm going to say, okay, that's fine. You're a Christian. What is Christianity anymore? What does it mean? You can go to a Christian country, and America, let's take, for example, and you'll get in more trouble for insulting George Floyd than you will for insulting Jesus Christ.
Yeah, for sure.
You can walk down walk down the street with a T-shirt saying Jesus is gay. Girls barely go to church. If they do, who knows what they were doing the night before? None of it means anything. And then if you go and find a Christian that says this trans person has changed gender, what do you think about that? Christians are so soft, they're going to go, well, I hope he finds redeem, and I hope he finds guidance. Haram, bro. Haram. No, you didn't. It's haram. And I like that it's yes and no. And what's the point in a religion if you're too afraid to say what you believe in, or afraid to stick up for it, or afraid to defend it? Then what's the point in any of it? So I feel like it's the last true religion. I feel like it's the last religion on the planet. And it's kind of interesting because since my reversion, I've had lots of conversations with the right-wing conservatives who were upset by my reversion as if I cared. And a lot of them said to me, oh yeah, but it's a Christian country. We need to restore Christianity to England or wherever. And they don't seem to understand that the basic law of the universe is that power vacuums get filled. This is the basic law of the universe. If a tiger arrives in a brand new habitat and there's no other predators, it's going to destroy and eat all the rabbits and it's going to take over.
Facts.
Anyone who's in the West who's concerned about the spread of Islam should be more worried about the absolute fall of Christianity. The reason people revert to Islam is because they're looking for God and they can't find God anywhere else. Yeah. It's Christianity's fault for being so weak and decadent.
Yeah, we were discussing this as well as a group earlier on, and we were like, the UK majority of it is a Muslim, population. So it's gone past the point where it's now deemed as a Christian country because there's more Muslims than Christians in the first place.
This is the Islamic Republic of Great Britistan, and the thing about it, but the thing about it is, it's not even about numbers. It's about strength of belief. If you wake up and you want to truly live a religious life, and you want to feel like you have religious conviction, and you want to feel the fraternity of a religious life, and you want to have the boundaries and constraints of a religious life, you're going to be attracted to Islam. You're not going to be attracted to Christianity because you can wake up and say, I'm a Christian, and nothing changes.
Yeah.
Nothing changes and nobody cares. And that is Christians' fault. So I've had a lot of people complain at me as if, like I said, as if my personal choices are something I should... I mean, it's kind of, I'm self-analyzing as I talk here. I find it very, very interesting that Christians look at Islam as a threat as opposed to just understanding that it is a massive power vacuum because Christianity feels godless and you do not feel God in Christianity anymore. And that's the reason that people are so attracted to Islam. That's the reason I was attracted to it, because I respect it. How can you believe in something you don't respect? I don't know, and that's a general question for anything. You have to respect it. You have to look at the creeds and say, okay, I respect that. I respect how they defend their religion. I respect how they're black and white on certain issues. I respect all of these things. Also, it's kind of interesting because if you want to measure the success of a religion, you can measure it in regards to how many people follow it, or like you just said in the UK, or how fast it's growing. But I think the number one measure of success for a religion is how well it preserves the sanctity of a society. I think that if you want to say, is this a successful religion? Well, then you'd look at the society which it governs and say, are the creeds of the religion being adhered to by the society that it governs? I would argue that most Islamic countries have an Islamic feel. I would argue you'd avoid a lot of the LGBT garbage. You'll avoid a lot of the woke insanity. You'll avoid a lot of the feminism, which has destroyed the West, and all these things, because Islam is being adhered to and it's keeping the society functioning. Do I go to Christian countries and feel like Christianity is preserving them? Not really.